Fala galera, estamos aqui direto da Brasil Game Show 2017 no stand da Ubisoft. Vamos falar com Bruno Guérin, que é o Online Director de Assassin's Creed Origins. Thank you, Bruno, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. The game now takes place on Egypt. What can you tell us about the plot? What can you tell us about the journey of the Bayek?
It's a very interesting question. So Assassin's Creed Origins takes place in ancient Egypt more than 2,000 years ago. And it was a crucial time period that led to the collapse of the Egyptian civilization as we knew it. The gods were dying, the line of pharaohs was about to go extinct, the mighty Roman Empire is coming as well for them. And so, with Assassin's Creed, we love to merge our fiction into, really deep, interesting events that actually happened. And so at that time, there was a civil war brewing in between Cleopatra and her brother Ptolemy XIII. They were both competing to the throne to become the pharaoh of Egypt at that time. And so Ptolemy was actually manipulated by the Order of the Ancients. This is our Proto-Templar, if you will, the organization that really wants to control the people. And so Cleopatra on the other side is actually being helped by Bayek and Aya because they see in her someone who can actually put an end to the struggle of the people.
What can you tell us about the character and the main character, Bayek? What's the difference of him of the other characters of Assassin's Creed?
So Bayek is a Magi. So he's a protector of the people and of the culture of ancient Egypt as well. And he's a very driven person. A bit before the game takes place, he went through a terrible tragedy that put him and his wife Aya on separate ways to actually find answers and to deal with the situation that tragedy created. And so they have a very different way of tackling that, and that's going to show. So their relationship is still very strong. They're still in love, they're still together, but they're after answers, they're after people. They're not going to stop until they see the end of it. And Bayek, is being a Magi, is actually representing the ancient Egypt, symbolically protecting the old ways of Egypt. But since this was a very terrible time, the Egypt was actually changing a lot. So himself, his very own being, is being challenged by the fact that he represents the past in a country that is actually moving into a new era.
The stories of the Assassin's Creed always has been very dense. We are very excited to know more about Bayek and his story. One of the biggest surprises in the announcement of the Assassin's Creed Origins was the change of the fighting system. A lot of people comparing with Dark Souls and other franchises in the gaming world. What can you tell us about the inspiration for change the combat system?
So at the very beginning, when we started Assassin's Creed Origins like 4 years ago, we wanted to go for more freedom. How can we give more freedom to our players? And the thing is, the previous combat system that we had was really pushing players towards a passive role. They were actually waiting for enemies to attack them so they could counter and have beautifully choreographed scenes. And we thought it was time to actually bring something new and to give them more control over the combat and how they want to approach a fight, to give them more tools as well to express themselves in a different manner. This is why we changed completely the combat system, again, to give them more control. The players are no longer passive. They have to play an active role into combat. They will be challenged by an AI that is very aggressive as well. The enemies that do not take turns, they can actually attack you all at once if they see an opening. Every decision that you make in how you craft your character, which weapon you equip, which abilities are unlocked and everything, makes a huge difference in combat as well. So players need to play not only by reflex, but actually to think as well when they fight.
That leads to my next question. It's about the RPG elements of the game. How can this influence on the gameplay, on the fighting system, on the evolution of Bayek in the game?
So the action RPG elements that we implemented in Assassin's Creed Origins have a tremendous impact on everything. So Bayek now has a level, and you will increase this level as you complete quests, as you roam, as you explore the world, as you achieve challenges. Everything gives you XP. Everything feeds you into becoming, this master Magi, soon to be maybe assassin. It was important for us to implement those action RPG elements into pretty much everything. So you're gonna craft as well upgrades on your character. The breastplates has an impact on your stats, on the health you carry, how many arrows you have. So and then there's the abilities. So we created an ability tree with 3 branches that can allow players to actually define whether they want to be more stealthy, more deadly, or whether they want to be smart and use the environment to their own advantage.
One last question. What can you tell us about the story, the present story of the game? Will we have more of the story of the present, the evolution, what can happen now that influence on the past?
So I'm afraid this is one question that I cannot necessarily comment on. What I can tell you is we pay attention to our fans. We know that they love it. We know they want more. This is something that I'd rather let them, enjoy for themselves, see what goes on. I don't want to spoil the fun for them.
Well, thank you very much for your time. We are very excited for Assassin's Creed Origins, me as well. So thank you, Bruno, for your time. É isso aí, galera.